Hello, loyal viewers. Welcome.
This was a fun game to play for me. I was able to take advantage of a young team and a new coach, and kind of worked my way with them.
Yeah, um, yeah, pretty good coach from what I've seen so far, but only seen him play against one other coach, so I was interested to see what he's able to do against a more experienced coach.
Yeah, I mean he's got good, really good fundamentals, but everybody should be able to play both sides of the ball, and you'll see a couple good tactics that he made and the effective counter that I made. So
hmm
this is instead of the first two games, which weren't so good for me, this was a pretty good game for me. So we'll see how it unrolls, and I'm sure that there's things now that I'm watching it again, I'll go, I wonder why I did that, or I could have done that better. And that's one of the nice things about these replays.
hmm
And but yeah, just playing against that high agility team was a little unnerving.
Yeah, I had not noticed that the werewolves have that giant, I don't know, like spike wedge on their foreheads for charging.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that might be because the level. 'Cause I
Yeah,
woke up
they
three.
just hit 3, so that popped
Yeah.
up. I guess I've never seen a level 3 werewolf before.
Welcome to the party.
Yeah. I like what you did there, keeping Brett off the line because you're even strength and have guard to increase your strength. So Brett is prepared to mess up people whenever they're trying to
Yeah.
do anything.
That's a change that I made to facilitate a better defense against an agility team
hmm
against a pass, where I figured that I'm going to leave him in the center and hope I can get him to one side or the other, whatever side his catcher is going to be on, to get that to try to shut down the pass game, because I've been
Ooh,
pretty smashed by the pass game.
man, that was bad luck. Getting those both attacker downs.
Yeah.
So didn't set people up on the ball yet, so you're going to get some infiltration. He's going to be a little bit behind because he went for hitting on the line instead of covering, at least covering the ball, if not picking up and moving forward.
Right.
So
And just like you say, even when you get two die, they can be both attacker down.
hmm
And if you've already used a reroll for something, then you're floating into that danger area.
Yep.
That's usually the point where if I have to use a reroll, then and I haven't
Done my
made,
important stuff yet.
yeah, that's when I stop shenanigans.
All right. So one die resulted in an attacker down twice after the reroll. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but I'd already set up what I
hmm
wanted to set up and go, meh. And that was one of those things where I was like, I don't know why I did that really. Thought I could have gotten it, but then I used a reroll and it still failed, and that sucked. So
It
I
was
burned the
it
reroll
was
for
a
something.
situation that wasn't going to open up a waterfall, so not too terribly worth it. But an injury would have been nice. But armor value 8 is tough to do.
Right. So that was a wasted reroll, and that was something that I kind of regretted the whole first half. I don't think it came back to bite me. I don't think I really needed it, but it did change the way that I played a little bit,
hmm
where I knew I had to be a little more conservative because I'd already lost a reroll because of the Halfling Master Chef.
hmm All right. So infiltrating with catcher and 2 linemen over by Brett. Uh, Obviously, that's his only lane right now for these players, but let's see if he notices the disturbing presence. Ooh, pass into the line to an adjacent player, or rather a player that has an adjacent enemy, so we'll see how that works out. Throwing up additional assists to avoid any bad situations from this guy, but once again, like we've seen it in a previous game for this week, that setting up I guess it was last week, but setting up a player with the ball adjacent to a player already kind of defeats the purpose of a cage.
Yep.
Ooh. Alright. Getting to push out of the reroll. And there it goes. So, and that's what I'm talking about, because even though he set up all those people, because you had one guy already there, you could use the blitz to open up the ability for him to block.
Right.
That was probably not the best person to pass to. Maybe he did it because the guy had block and he felt that he was a little bit more resistant. So Brett really covering those linemen and the catcher very well, and actually on the catcher. That's a good placement.
Yeah, so he's gonna, his disturbing presence is 3 spaces in every direction, which is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, just in case anybody hasn't noticed, not to give away my trade secrets, but that depiction of his disturbing presence is only 1.5 spaces.
If you go all the way to the almost invisible tips, it does go into the 3rd space.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. The little chaos symbols, they do go into the 3rd space, but, you know, when you're playing, you can't, and especially on certain pitches, you can't see that, and it really just goes, like, maybe a 1.5 in. Alright, so to a failed dodge roll.
And he did that a couple times, and that's a tough way to do business.
Mm-hmm.
But he seemed insistent on doing that.
Interesting that you put on the line over here. I'm guessing
I did that, but I knew that I knew where I was going to put the rest of my guys, and I knew that wasn't going to be a risk. But just by setting up that second guy 2 spaces away.
That was a dangerous block attempt going into that 1-die frenzy.
Yep. But block versus no block.
He does not have block. It was a block and then a frenzy into a single die. Badly hurt though. That's rough with the mighty blow. It's such a good armor pen roll that you actually got it on the injury roll for the +1.
Nice stuff, huh?
Mm-hmm. So the elite's in a not strong situation right now. This player is outside of the disturbing presence, but is still marked, so we'll see if he tries to pass to him, or just peels out. Still undisturbing.
Yep, and that's what I'm talking about. Those diagonals are like way out. You don't really see 1, 2, 3. He is in that 3rd space. That's how far that disturbing presence goes.
It wasn't a big difference. The accurate pass made up for the disturbing present, and he catches, but this is now another situation that we see of somebody catching the ball and just being caught just out in the open. He does do a partial cage, but this isn't going to be enough. Time limit exceeded right after a dodge roll of 1. Interesting.
Yeah. So I've still got enough players that are loose to make this tricksy for him. Strip ball.
Yep. Power.
Yep.
Strip ball tackle. That guy's hard, and block. He's hard to keep from getting the ball free.
Yeah. That's a big fan of him.
Mm-hmm.
So here's where I set up around the ball instead of
just going
picking it up.
Yep.
Immediately work somebody off the ball, and then like worst case scenario, if I'd missed it, it was going to bounce around. It was 3 to 1 that it was probably not going to hit him, and I got enough guys around
Yep.
all of his players.
And that pickup,
where-
because you only had one enemy adjacent, was a 4+, which is not that ridiculous. And actually, if you look at that, the dude is missing a head. It's just a helmet floating. That's nice.
rolling the headless Thompson gunner.
Exactly.
Okay, so now I've got the ball and I've got enough turns to move it downfield.
Yep.
And
The elite's looking like they're setting up pretty decent defense, though, to keep you from moving the ball.
which is good. That's a good showing. You know, now that things have gone wrong for him, what's he going to do? Because that's really when you see the skill of a player.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Downgrades it to a badly hurt, so the player will be back on the next drive. It's always the conundrum that I go through. Do I dodge and try not to get hit, or do I stand there and get hit?
Yeah. So I'm going to open up a lane on the left side here. You can see how I use that blitz off. And here's that diagonal.
Yep. Moving the
I'm
ball.
going to try to get that second guy off as well.
Yep. Moving everybody that's free first instead of doing the roll.
Right.
So 2 players off the pitch in the same turn. That's going to be.
Right.
That's probably going to put the nail in the coffin for this drive.
Yeah. But it's still going to be, he's going to do a fairly good job of trying to get down there and menace me and make me work. That's his job right now, is I've got the players,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got the momentum, and I've got the ball. What's he going to do? He's got to try to menace me as best as possible, and he does a fairly good job. But
unfortunately,
you'll see how I move the ball and my blocking package up.
Odd that he didn't use the wizard right there. I thought that would have been a pretty good time to use a lightning bolt. Would have been real nice, and even if he didn't lightning bolt right here with a fireball, would have gotten 3 of them.
Yep.
So maybe he's waiting until he's in a really bad situation, but I can't imagine it getting worse than this,
Yeah.
where he can still recover.
Right.
Having not enough players to do kind of like a 2-deep defense, it looks like this is going to kind of fall apart pretty fast.
Yeah.
Brett getting all those 4+.
Loving it. The only time I'm not trying to hit somebody with him. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's when he rolls a 1, but as long as he's just walking around, he rolls 6s and 5s.
That's fine. He's a traveling man.
Mm-hmm. He wants peace, not war.
Yep. So that's so I was not being greedy. I was staying inside of my protection to the best of my ability. Don't worry about trying to go too far. I've got a couple moves, and I'm in close enough to the end zone.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Oh.
And that's the 3rd one that he's failed, right?
Yep. If not more, but yeah, it's a lot of failed dodge rolls going on.
Yep. So.
But he's also dodging a lot. You can expect to fail. I guess we're an elf. It's only 1 out of 6 if he doesn't dodge into a cell.
Yeah, he definitely. It was more than an appropriate number for what he was doing, but at the same time, that's tough because he had an injury and then a stun, and then he had a down.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was 4 then because he.
Hey, Brett finally wild animal.
There he goes. Yeah, that was. I was like, I had a couple other plans. I was like, maybe this will go. Maybe this will go. If Brett does something, maybe it'll work. And then Brett wild animals. I was like, nah, I'll just take the touch.
Mm-hmm. A little dangerous because you didn't have any rerolls left, but with the amount of players that you had over there, you probably could have picked it up.
Set up. He set up away from Brett.
Mm-hmm. Usually don't like setups like that because it does leave Brett puts him down, then you have a massive lane down the middle, and your passer's not going to be protected. So interesting.
But the end of the half, so there wasn't really anything going to happen. So he's just trying not to get a couple star player points. That was his second pass.
Mm-hmm.
So that's two star player points for his team.
Mm-hmm. 11 up his second thrower. Wow. And that's one of the reasons why, granted, he could have done that to somebody on the line, but letting Brett open to choose who he wants to hurt is a little much. He looks like he took out just a lineman anyways.
Yeah. So my half, I get the ball.
All these elves have no faces. Oh, there's one with a face, two with a face, one without. Ooh, it's a good kick.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going into this with a two-player advantage. That's going to be pretty tough. Oh.
Broken ribs. And then fuck my life.
Sure hands.
False advertising.
Yeah, a little bit.
That was really unnerving, especially when it failed, because I was like, shit. In the end zone, you never know where that throw is going to come back if I knock it out.
Yeah. So the flank over here a little open, but you're so far back that you should be able to build a cage without a problem.
Right. So my initial response was I was going to try to throw to my guy with the guy in the center behind my line has agility 4.
Mm.
So I was going to try to throw to him and start leveling up that lineman a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But couldn't get the freaking ball to do that.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
This was one of the scarier points. This was just a little bit of a shit show in general.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew I had to mark that ball.
Which you did first, which was good.
Because I wasn't going to pick it up right away.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I failed, then I wouldn't have any of my other moves. So I wanted to mark the ball, make it as safe as possible, go through my other stuff, and that was just an unfortunate turn last time because I couldn't get the ball. So now, you know, my original plan is now not workable. This was a really good move for him. That scared the poop out of me.
Yeah, because if it would have bounced out of bounds, then it could have been put in a good situation. But I don't think there was enough to gain, especially with a low player count, for doing that. I actually would have preferred if he would have just marked it where the ball's at right now, because you didn't have the support to push him off the pitch, and it made your choices a lot more difficult.
Right.
If anything, he just made his pressure in the backfield too much. I don't think there was enough to be gained. Within reason for that move.
Well, the problem was that the ball was marked by 2 of my players. So he was getting a -2 to a pickup.
Not to mention the -2 to dodge in.
Plus the -2 to dodge in. So that's why, even though I did pucker a little bit when that happened, because, you know, 6s are on the dice, was okay with leaving it as it was. Felt like I did a pretty good job of marking it and making it safe. And it turns out that it happened, so that was all right.
Yeah, and I believe it was at least one going for it. I think it was just one going for it to go in there. So just to get in there, he had to make 3, or to pick up the ball. It was 3 rolls that he had to roll relatively strong on.
Right.
Yeah, and it put him in a very vulnerable position either way.
Yeah. I do have kind of that whole side of the field by myself now.
Yeah. Had he just painted that one, maybe brought the other character, I don't know how close it was, but to maybe paint another character, he could have put a lot of pressure on it and force you to make a mistake, or else that ball would potentially could have gotten dislodged. Yeah, unless something special comes out, I think that's basically the end of any momentum that the elites had.
Yeah. He still got that wizard.
Yeah, but it's such a player disadvantage now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That even if it wizards, as long as you're not injured, you just stand back up and pick it up.
Yeah, that jump up is a pretty powerful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just at a player disadvantage, plus he's so tied up over... Oh! Bolt. So, and because nothing happened, you're probably just going to jump up and lose one space of movement because you had to go over there and then go.
Yep.
And that would probably be my first. No, you're painting the ball first. That's not a bad move. Brett's like, no!
God damn it, Brett.
He's still exuding tackle zone, so
Yeah, I know.
he's still doing his job because he's standing.
Yeah, because he's just terrifying.
So yeah. Yeah, the wizards usually should be used when you have the ability to then capitalize on the... So the earlier one that we were talking about, when he had guys present, would have been a much better time because you could capitalize on that and turn it around, while that one was... even if it did kill, forbid that Gear Nordic Sun would die, but even if it killed him, what would have happened?
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody else would have just been like, stepped over his body and picked up the ball and started running.
Yeah. Bro, get out the way.
Yeah, at this point, just trying to get guys to stop the rush. Kick in the face. Brett. What are you doing, Brett?
He's fine. He didn't get his ration of beer.
That's true. He's just looking. He's looking for it.
That's right, yeah. Where is it? Checking his pockets. I mean, that happens to me, you know? If I can't find my beer, I go into a blind rage as well.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it's undirected blind rage.
Right. Just throws a hissy fit.
Yeah, so unless something really... Not that elves can't score 2 touchdowns in 3 turns, or... Yeah, 3 turns. I just don't see it happening, especially with the player deficiency.
Yep. So that was pretty funny. I have a guy with kick, but I put him in the wrong place, so my guy with kick didn't kick the ball. So I lost track of my players there for a second.
Yeah.
Which is a little embarrassing and really confusing when you're like, how the fuck did that go out of bounds? Well, and I looked at my guy. No,
yeah. Yeah, I think as long as he's in midfield, no matter where his position's at, as long as he's in midfield, it'll go to him. But like you said, you lost him and got him on the flank.
Yep. Well, that's just that. It's one of the frustrating things about this game is that it just doesn't remember how you set up your guys. I don't understand. Like, and you can make a play, save it, and then it doesn't last for the next game. Yeah.
That's using your head.
Yeah, I know, right? Deal with it. So not a high probability of getting that ball down there. So he's just got to be as careful as he can. This gets a little funny here, where he makes a really good effort to
catch this ball.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then, I just go in there to do as much damage as I can because I know that he doesn't have the movement to get a touchdown. So.
Yeah. So, for the elites, I would say, oh man, Until you get the dodge ability, just be careful with your dodge moves. Most of them were pretty fair on a 2+. You should have gotten them, but a couple of them you were dodging into cells when I don't think you had to. I wasn't paying too close attention with it being on fast forward, but just be cognizant. You don't have dodge, though it is a 2+. It still is a single die roll. And then that back move right there, we talked about it. Just risk versus reward. There wasn't a lot to gain for jumping in there versus how much it could have gone bad. You came out of it relatively unscathed, but you couldn't capitalize on his failed pickup.
Yep. Yeah, it was a failed pickup, and then I got knocked down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
before I could try to pick it up. So that was 2 turns with the ball in the end zone.
Yep. That as long as you would have painted it instead, you would have made it to where it was more difficult, and maybe forced him not to. You know, made it at the a good situation with held the score to 1-0, or potentially had a situation where somebody messed up, the ball got thrown in, and you could have just scored real fast because you were so close.
Yep.
Otherwise,
but he did get 6 star player points for the passes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that's essentially worth two touchdowns.
Yep. But being that these playoffs can only accept 8, the wins do matter this season.
Yeah.
Records do matter. The 4 worst teams, most likely the 2 out of each division, the worst teams are not going to go to the playoffs. And then for you, I don't really have much. You weren't offered a lot of opportunities to make mistakes. You had a player advantage, and because of forced turnovers due to failed dodge rolls, there wasn't a lot of opportunities for mistake.
Yep, I saw that too. It was a pretty straightforward match for me, and which I'm grateful for. Needed a win to bolster my confidence.
Yeah, I think the elites played well and they stuck in there, and I think they played, for the most part, I'd say 95% played smart Blood Bowl despite having a serious disadvantage not only in team value, but also in roles. There was a considerable difference in roles. You could make the exception that because you also had a couple attacker down situations, but it's Blood Bowl.
Yep.
And the only thing I'd add is probably use wizards when they will be useful, not just as a last ditch.
Yeah. Instead of just trying to zap a ball carrier, what do you gain from zapping that ball carrier? It's the same thing we talk about. Always focus on moving the ball. So how are you going to get that ball after you use that wizard?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think that's it. Thanks everybody for watching, and to both, especially you guys, thanks for playing, and we'll see you guys later.
Cheers.